Jackie Chan and John Cena are really well known for the action movies that they seem to endlessly pump out, and John Cena is one of the only two wrestler turned actors that I genuinely enjoy watching on the big screen, and that's mainly because he's super fucking funny.
Ooh, baby, I masturbate every day.
Plus, Jackie Chan has been in so many classics and staples, from the Rush Hour trilogy to that role he played in that weird Karate Kid movie that wasn't a reboot because it's set in the same world as the first Karate Kid, because now Jackie Chan's character and Daniel LaRusso are going to team up for a new Karate Kid or something. So, inevitably, like Vin Diesel faced off against The Rock, Stallone faced off against Schwarzenegger, Batista faced off against, well, I guess Ryan Gosling at the start of Blade Runner 2049. So it was only a matter of time before John Cena and Jackie Chan also found themselves in a movie together. And Hidden Strike has an interesting production history that I'll share with you towards the end. So in order to get there, we gotta talk about the plot. So with that, let's get into it. The setup for Hidden Strike is that oil wars have erupted, and so a private military group is going to rescue trapped oil workers at a refinery and get them to safety before a group of rebels comes to take them all out. The Chinese team is led by Jackie Chan's Lau, who gets dropped in by a helicopter, and it's piloted by the most CGI looking man that I have ever seen. Meanwhile, John Cena's Chris is being recruited by his brother Henry to go take out the group of oil workers while they're being escorted to safety. It turns out that there's an international criminal who will be on the convoy, and she is responsible for arming some bad guys who then use the guns to take out some other people that Chris knew. Oh, and it's all going down on the Highway of Death, the most dangerous road in the whole country. What ultimately convinces Chris to do the mission is that he needs to get money to bribe a company with $100,000 to give the small village that he lives in access to clean drinking water. And Lau's bright idea to get the oil workers to safety is to take Greyhound buses on the Highway of Death, which, like, why Greyhound buses? I've literally seen the Coast Guard have better convoys than this, and these guys are supposed to be some super secret Chinese force to be reckoned with. Also, before they get on the buses, the professor, aka the woman who they are after, gives her bag of important stuff to Mei, who also happens to be Lau's daughter. And Lau's team isn't as secure as he thought because a traitor in their midst marks the bus that the professor's in, so the bad guys know which ones to attack. On their scenic trip through the Highway of Death, some car bombs go off and a Mad Max-style dust storm shows up. And Chris's team comes to get the professor, and we get a pretty good fistfight with some creative over-the-top angles until the woman soldier is thrown out of the windshield in a not-so-good-looking way. I find it super funny that they only put one soldier in each bus. Like, I cannot stress enough how bad and poorly thought out this extraction plan truly was.
Not a great plan.
Chris is pretty skeptical about these scientists and oil workers that they just took hostage, while Lau and Mei use a chopper to look for the missing buses. On their helicopter tour, they see a jet engine being used to create the sandstorm that they went through. And then a very slow-paced helicopter versus bad guy convoy kicks off. But why engage with zero weapons aside from your assault rifle that is no match for, you know what? I take it back. Maybe you're going to be just fine. Just kidding. In the end, the helicopter is shot down and the bad guys make it to their base with the hostages. There is this kind of funny moment when Lau finds the other missing bus and his soldier guy is still tied up and everyone else on the bus just has their hands on their head. Like, none of you thought to help this poor man and get him out of these restraints? Or grab his radio and try for help? Y'all are dumb. At the bad guy camp, the big baddie of the movie, Owen, and Chris go back and forth about right and wrong before Chris gets mad and storms off. So, Owen kills his brother and stages his body to look like the Chinese did it, while Lau catches up to Chris. They have a quick standoff in the village that involves some macho man throwing of a baseball really hard at each other, and Jackie Chan, being the badass that he is, just catches it with his bare fucking hand. Chris heads out to look for his brother, and unfortunately, when he gets to his hideout, he discovers his body. We then get the answer to the question everyone was asking: who would win between Jackie Chan and John Cena in a fight? And honestly, overall, it's a pretty good fight scene between these two. John Cena uses brute force while Jackie Chan uses the environment and his quick athletic skill to his advantage, which honestly makes for a pretty good pairing. It's at least better than watching two big bald guys throw each other through walls like we normally get in these kind of situations. Their fight is interrupted by some French soldiers showing up to shoot at them, so Chris and Lau can quip back and forth in the middle of the gunfire. Eventually, the French, in their good faction, just give up on killing them, or they just assume that they're dead. So, back at the village, Chris tells Lau how hot he thinks May is, in another funny bit between these two. Owen's crew shows up after they track the professor's phone that was also in May's bag, so a fight in the village can kick off, stealth style. Chris pulls a guy through a wall, pushes a guy through a wall, and stomps a guy through a ceiling, which, when you think about it, is a wall of sorts. A rocket launcher takes out Chris's tower, so he can take a tumble before the whole village is surrounded by bad guys. Chris just gives them what they want by tossing them the bag, but the next day he immediately regrets it when he learns that Owen is about to pull off the largest oil heist in history. Which, like, yeah, dude, what did you think was going to happen if you gave the bad guys the thing they were looking for? Their bad plan would probably kick off, and it would probably be, get this, hold on, just wait a second, bad. Our dynamic duo take the rocket truck that caused the sandstorm to go storm the refinery and not use the jet engine at all.
Okay, cool, no doubt.
Instead, we get more impressive Jackie Chan martial arts and John Cena using his gigantic muscles to beat people up with large objects. They 1v2 this one guy for a second, and then dramatic music starts to play while he just shoots grenades at them non-stop for no reason. Like, this guy isn't even trying to hit them, he's just spraying wildly. And even though Jackie Chan and John Cena don't have guns, so he could just walk around the corner and pop. Lau throws him through a window to continue the fight, while Chris heads off to stop Owen by trying to catch his speeding vehicle on foot. Then May just drives past the bad guy convoy, and they do nothing at all to stop her, so she can be Chris's Uber driver to catch up to him. At the same time, Lau sprays his bad guy with foam, and we get a suds-filled fight that ends when Lau launches the guy into a wall, head first. Turns out May is a terrible driver because she decides to take a massive jump even though Chris warns her not to, which ultimately destroys the truck and lets Owen get away. Luckily, Lau shows up in the jet truck and our trio speed off to stop the bad guy convoy once again. And finally, they use the giant jet engine to fly like a motherfucking eagle at full speed, blowing up the tanker trucks and flipping them in the process. This whole thing looks like it belongs as the opening cutscene in a video game before you start the mission. They then turn the truck into a rocket sled with John Cena holding onto the side until they ram into Owen, fly off of a cliff, and he falls down and explodes. The movie wraps up with Lau and May making up, the trio standing on the side of a cliff, and Chris making a move on May. First and foremost, this is the fakest looking movie I have ever seen. Almost every single shot in this thing involves a green screen, and this is an $80 million movie. Ad Astra from 2019, Independence Day, and Ghostbusters Afterlife all had a budget of about $80 million, and they all look light years better than Hidden Strike. Also, Mars Attacks has an $80 million budget, and it's not relevant because that movie also looks bad, but I just wanted a reason to bring this movie up because I really like Mars Attacks, and I feel like not enough people talk about it. It's pretty fucking funny, and it has Danny DeVito. What more could you possibly want? Hidden Strike looks about the same as that Dave Bautista movie In the Lost Lands, just a hazy green screen mess. And honestly, Hidden Strike's plot and the way it plays out is all poorly written and not that interesting. We learn about halfway through that Chris's dad was killed on the highway of death after Chris convinced him to take a job. That would be a nice detail. But earlier, Chris's brother guilts him into taking the job against the oil refinery on the highway of death by saying that their dad would have done it. What do you mean? Chris had to convince your dad to take the job on the highway of death because your dad didn't want to do it. So if anything, Chris not wanting to do the job on the highway of death is exactly what your dad would have done. Or how the special Chinese squad just brought buses to transport people through the extremely dangerous highway of death, and only the front bus and the back bus have guns. Or my other favorite, when May just casually drives by the bad guys on her way to the refinery and they don't bother doing anything about her. All of these things and more just highlight to me how this movie was constructed solely to bring Jackie Chan and John Cena together. And on that level, I can tune out the stupid plot to enjoy two action stars doing action star stuff. I wish it was in a better looking movie, but most of the fight scenes do utilize mostly real sets and actual props, so that's nice. I really love this little roll John Cena does when the helicopter's shooting at him. Look at that giant man rolling around. That's goofy and funny. I love that. It surprised me how funny this movie really was at times. There's a funny bit where Lau and Chris can't understand each other, so Lau keeps pulling the pins of the grenades before tossing them over to Chris, which is making them explode basically in his hands. There's also a recurring bit about hand signals between the two as they keep getting them wrong with each other, resulting in funny moments where they almost get killed. And the funniest moment to me, when Lau slaps Chris's hand away because he won't let go of the handshake. So at the start of this video, I mentioned that Hidden Strike had an interesting production history. So it was filmed in China in 2018, but not released until 2023 as a straight to Netflix film. Now this is partially due to the COVID pandemic, but it was also under the spotlight after John Cena acknowledged Taiwan as a country, something that China doesn't really like. That made the Chinese production companies worried that people wouldn't go see the movie, so they shelved it until Netflix bought it and put it on streaming. I find that interesting because American Chinese productions are usually a pretty big hit in China. The Meg back in 2018 made over $150 million, and it's a co-produced movie. I kind of feel like some of these movies are made just to sell the star power, kind of like The Meg, which includes major American and Chinese stars, something Hidden Strike also does. And the only reason Hidden Strike is watchable aside from some of the action is the chemistry between John Cena and Jackie Chan. I was pleasantly surprised at how well these two joked and fought on screen together. Every fight has this small level of them trying to one-up each other. Honestly, if you have Netflix and you want to kill 90-ish minutes on a flight or while you do your taxes or something else kind of boring, I think this is a good movie to have on in the background. But honestly, I'm willing to forgive all of that because the action and the chemistry between John Cena and Jackie Chan is good enough for me to enjoy this movie in a way that lands Hidden Strike in so bad, it's good. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on XXX State of the Union, one of my favorite Ice Cube movies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what movie you'd like to see me cover in the future.